day started with more airstrikes in Gaza, this tiny, densely packed territory, just 25 miles long, 5 miles across, given a deadly wake-up call. And the day was punctuated with more massive bombardment, Israel saying it's targeting places associated with senior figures.
Staff had been evacuated following warnings from Israeli officers. Israel says it was targeting Hamas military intelligence. Earlier, Palestinian officials said Israeli airstrikes killed 14 people, including 5 children, in a densely populated refugee camp. 1 Israeli has died in a rocket attack from Gaza on a Tel Aviv suburb.
There we are, another strike on that tower, and the tower has come down.
The destruction was broadcast live around the world. Al Jazeera called it a clear act to stop journalists conducting their sacred duty to inform, and the Associated Press.
And while militants have been killed, many civilians, including children, are known to be among the dead. And if they haven't lost relatives, more and more of those living in this impoverished strip are losing their homes and belongings and are in fear. Overnight, militant groups in Gaza sent a huge barrage of rockets into Israel. And while most were stopped, many did manage to get through, some hitting buildings. In Rishon LeZion, a 50-year-old woman became one of 6 Israelis who've now been killed.
There we are, another strike on that tower, and the tower has come down.
The destruction was broadcast live around the world. Al Jazeera called it a clear act to stop journalists conducting their sacred duty to inform, and the Associated Press said the world will know less about what is happening in Gaza because of what happened. On the ground, people recorded and shared their footage online. Social media has transformed the flow of information about the conflict, but activists have accused sites like Instagram of blocking their posts. Israel's defense minister urged Facebook and TikTok to remove content that he says incites violence and terrorism. A Palestinian activist told us recently why social media is so important to people like her.
Israeli media is really powerful. Israeli propaganda is really powerful. Our news, our stories couldn't reach anyone in the world. Today, our news, our sounds, our shouts are reaching many people around the world because we are the producers of our story. We produce the story. We take the photos. We take the footage. We take these stories and share them to the world. And this is why they started fighting against our stories and fighting against our posts.
Staff had been evacuated following warnings from Israeli officers. Israel says it was targeting Hamas military intelligence. Earlier, Palestinian officials said Israeli airstrikes killed 14 people, including 5 children, in a densely populated refugee camp. 1 Israeli has died in a rocket attack from Gaza on a Tel Aviv suburb. Paul Adams has the latest from Jerusalem.
In the dark of another long night in Gaza, a desperate search for signs of life. A 4-story building in a densely packed refugee camp hit repeatedly, according to eyewitnesses, and razed to the ground. The rescue operation was frantic, yielding only a catalogue of death. 2 families obliterated, at least 7 people, including 5 children, aged from 5 to 14. Mohammed Hadidi has lost almost everyone. His wife, Maha, and the children were staying with her brother when the missile struck. Little Omar is all he has left, found in the rubble next to his mother. Images released overnight display an operation that shows no sign of letting up. Israel says it's up to Hamas to stop firing first. That's not happening either. This, the aftermath of a rocket attack in the city of Beersheba. The rockets are, as always, indiscriminate.